Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining us today for this special talk about women's fitness. Today, we have the privilege to have in person Sergeant Hickman Cece, or Hickman Cece, or Cece.
Yeah.
Hi, Cece.
Hey, hi. Hi, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah, thank you for joining us today. Over the week, we've shared with you a series of video, Whole Fitness with Cece. In those videos, our guest speaker here shared some best practices about workout routine, her workout routine, and how to just like work out properly. And we gave you the opportunity to practice your English listening skills and reading skills. Today, let's have this opportunity to practice our English writing skills. Mm-hmm. That said, we encourage you to ask a question by typing them in the comment section below. Feel free to ask a question throughout the presentation. So let us get started. So Cece, over to you. You will have a presentation, and then we will take the time. We'll collect a question from the audience, from you, dear audience. So we'll be happy to have Cece respond to them here live. So over to you, Cece.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Again, my name is Cece. Sergeant Hickman, though, is what my Marines call me, but please just call me Cece. And then we can go ahead and get started with the presentation. All I'm going to do is talk just briefly about myself, my background when it comes to how I've learned to love fitness and how important it is in my life. And then I'm just going to touch on each video that I did and just summarize every video I did. So let's get started. Again, hey, this is Whole Fitness with Cece, right? And then that's just like what I said. I'm just going to introduce myself, and then I'm going to break down every video and just give a brief summary for those who may have missed some things, or I can clear up some confusion that there might have been. So, the last 2 to 3 years of my life, I've been really focused on weightlifting since I can't really play sports. Sports will always be my love, but I've always focused on weightlifting. So when I started weightlifting, I didn't really know what I was doing. So it really was just about gaining more strength. But recently I've been into bodybuilding, not trying to do for competition, but just more sculpting my body in the way that I wanted to, and also focusing on my overall fitness and muscle stamina. Next slide. So the first video I talked about was a proper warm-up, which a proper warm-up is just getting your body ready to work out. This includes movements that slightly elevate your heart rate. Like I said, the goal is to get a nice light sweat going and to get that blood pumping throughout your muscles. There's aerobic warm-ups, and then there's dynamic stretching warm-ups. Again, aerobic warm-ups are like, high knees, butt kickers, stuff like that. And then dynamic stretching warm-ups, as you see in the picture there, is like the cherry pickers that I demonstrated, not sitting and stretching, but actively moving. The importance of properly warming up is it better prepares you for the workout. It's very critical, any type of workout you're going to do, that you're warming up your body, because you don't want to have risk to injury, like I said in the video. And the last big thing when it comes to warm-ups is you want to cater the warm-up to the workout. So if you're going to lift, do a warm-up that gets your blood pumping and gets the muscles engaged with powerful movements. If you're going to run, make sure, again, you're getting your muscles warm, but doing strides and high knees and getting your hips and core engaged. Next slide. Cardio and fat burn. So cardio is aerobic and endurance workouts. Aerobic, for those who might have missed the definition, is a use of oxygen to meet energy demands during an exercise. So it's how well your body can pump blood and receive oxygen intake. The difference between fat burn and cardio is the heart rate. So you can do the same workouts for cardio and fat burn: running, swimming, bicycle. You can use an elliptical, stuff like that. But it's how you measure your heart rate. So how you can see the status of your heart rate is taking 220 and subtracting it by your age. You guys got to see in a video that I don't know how to do math. So 220, like for example, I'm 25, that's 195. So if I wanted to achieve a cardio work, or I wanted to do a cardio workout, I need to get my heart rate from 70 to 85%. If I just want to execute a fat burn, it's a lower heart rate, and it's about 50 to 70% of that maximum heart rate that I said. There's a lot of different ways to measure your heart rate. If you have a fitness watch, then that's the best way, because then you won't have to physically do it. If you're on a treadmill, most treadmills nowadays have something that measures your heart rate. Not 100% accurate, but it can be. But if you don't have any of that, the only other way you can do it is actually taking your pulse. So setting a timer for 30 seconds, taking your pulse, counting how many times you feel your heartbeat, and then times that by 2. So let's say like right now, I wait 30 seconds to take my pulse, and I counted 25 heartbeats. That means my average beats per minute is 50, if that makes sense. But preferably if you have like a Fitbit or like a fitness watch, that's the best way. So cardio is really good. One, for your overall health, doing cardio and fat burn, it strengthens your lungs and your heart, which ultimately reduces your risk of having a heart attack or a stroke or anything of that sort. And then just your daily life, you'll see that it's easy for you to maneuver around and whatnot. Next slide. Weightlifting, the thing that I myself love the most and what most Marines love to do. Weightlifting is the art or sport of lifting barbells or dumbbells to strengthen muscles for personal gain or for competition. So you can weightlift for just your own personal gain to see how strong you are, or you can actually compete. There's different competitions worldwide. There's 3 different types of weightlifting. There's powerlifting, which is the maximum weight in 1 repetition, seeing how much weight you can pull. That is measured with the bench, deadlift, and squat workouts. When we talk about powerlifting, there's certain things that are very important to consider, such as coordination, range of motion, equipment, and being safe. Then there's Olympic lifting. There's multiple kinds of Olympic lifting. Let me just emphasize that. I don't know that much about Olympic lifting, but I know the snatch is a very big one, which is pulling a bar from the ground to above your head. And then the clean and jerk. Please don't quote me on that though, because it might be called the clean and jerk press, because the pressing motion is putting the bar over your head. When it comes to Olympic lifting, the biggest thing is your form. Form is very important for powerlifting as well, but for Olympic lifting, form is critical to not injure yourself. Then there's bodybuilding, which is focusing on your overall appearance. So something like I said that I'm working on right now, I'm not necessarily trying to powerlift. I'm not seeing how much weight I can lift, but I want to maximize my growth and my muscle growth and reducing body fat. So kind of what that is like you're building your muscles, but you're also reducing your body fat so you can show how big your muscles are, right? Some things I just want people to remember when we talk about weightlifting is don't ego lift. The ego lifting is basically lifting too much weight, more weight than you can handle. And when you do that, you start to see your form deteriorate, and your range of motion isn't as good as it needs to be. Practice good form. If you want to get stronger, or if you want to look stronger, or if you want to get into Olympic lifting, practicing good form is the biggest thing, because you don't want to injure yourself. And especially if you want to grow bigger muscles, there's a specific way to conduct certain exercises. The last thing is warm up properly, recover, and rest. These are the biggest components whenever we talk about lifting and working out. Though working out and lifting are obviously the main aspect when we talk about these things, but how much you rest, how much water you're drinking, how much protein you're intaking, and how well you're stretching are critical to success when it comes to weightlifting. Next slide. High intensity interval training, or HIIT, right? This is something that a lot of you guys actually never heard of, so I'm glad to introduce this to you guys. HIIT is several rounds of various exercises for several minutes with low recovery periods. We love HIIT because it's a form of cardio, but it's like a fun form of cardio, because while you're doing HIIT, you're also practicing strength training. It's short and sweet, right? I don't think I've ever done a HIIT workout that's more than 50 minutes, and that's a very intense, high calorie HIIT workout there. What is an example of HIIT? Well, the best way to explain HIIT is to talk about different HIIT workouts. So basically, you could be having 4 stations. You could do a minimum of a minute at each station. Each station has a different workout. And then before you move on to the next station, you have a 10 to 30 second rest. And then once you finish all the stations, you do that 3 times, right? So usually that doesn't take more than 30 minutes and you burn lots of calories and you get your heart rate to that point of executing cardio. And then for HIIT, you can focus on multiple different parts of your body, or you can just zone in and focus on one part of your body. Next slide. Combat fitness or career focused fitness. So combat fitness is a fitness routine that includes cardiovascular endurance, muscle stamina, and weightlifting. Big thing with combat fitness is that you train with the gear that you use. So for example, if you're a firefighter and you're worried about combat fitness or career focused fitness, you want to train with the gear, or at least the weight of the gear that you use normally, because you want to get your body used to carrying that gear around when you're under stress. When we talk about combat fitness, the key thing is that it's a balanced approach. So you want to balance speed and agility, power, strength, and endurance. Another importance is, when we talk about combat fitness, for me in the military, it's very important for me to be able to do my job properly. That's what my team trusts, and that's what the people here at the embassy trust, is that I can do my job properly. And of course, with that requires me understanding the operations that come with my job and having a certain mindset, but that comes with the physical capability to do my job. And for me, that can be running around the compound, that can be running in up and down stairs, and that can be carrying people who are way heavier than me and being able to execute that in a quick motion while staying, staying in a good mindset under all that stress. I would say when it comes to combat fitness, or when we talk about other fitness, it's all about yourself. But when we talk about combat fitness, it's about how you contribute to your team. And that's the importance of it. Go ahead. Next slide. Mobility. Mobility is a range of motion around your joints. Mobility exercises increase movement and range to perform exercises better. Don't get mobility and flexibility confused. Flexibility is talking about lengthening of your muscles. Mobility talks about how well the range of motion is around your joints, such as your shoulders, your hips, and your knees being those major joints that I talk about. The importance of mobility is that, or increasing your mobility, is it prevents injuries, aches, and pains. For those who want to get into weightlifting or running, it's a lot of wear and tear in your body, and you'll be surprised on how it affects your joints. So if you increase, that motion around your joints, you'll notice that you'll be able to perform exercises a lot better and a lot easier. Range of motion is the biggest thing that mobility will contribute to. Next slide. All right, post-workout or cooling down. Cooling down is reducing your intensity, bringing down your heart rate, and relaxing your muscles. So this is what we do after we finish whatever workout we want to conduct for that day. It's returning your body to a physical state prior to the workout. Some examples of cooling down are static stretching and yoga exercises. So there's benefits to cooling down, but there's actually a lot of risk to not cooling down. So some of the benefits to cooling down is that it delays onset muscle soreness. Onset muscle soreness is that pain and soreness you feel a couple days after you conduct a workout. Not saying you won't be sore. You probably will be sore depending on the workout. And we love to be sore, right? We love the feeling of being sore, but it can help delay that soreness and it can help minimize it. So it's not as bad. It also increases your flexibility. So of course, because you're stretching and you're also stretching at a point that's after the workout where your body's already warm, that durability that you're putting for your muscles really will help. And it improves your mental state. So one thing I talked about in the workout is that, cooling down is a physical thing, of course, like actively stretching, but it's also a mental thing. When you're cooling down, you're thinking about how well you performed whatever workout you did, how well your body responded to it, and how you just feel about it overall. So it's kind of just bringing your mind back to a point of center, or like what we like to say, center. Bring your mind back to that point and just being able to think about everything that you did. The risk of not cooling down, right? So if you actually don't even cool down, you can risk injury, and it actually will elevate your risk of injury. When you're cooling down, like I said, you're thinking about how like your body felt. And if you don't cool down properly and take that time to think about that and feel how your body's feeling, you could possibly have injured yourself and not even realize, or, you know, the soreness could be more extreme than you would actually think, but you didn't properly cool down, so you don't even know. It also causes stiff muscles. So whenever you're working out, I'm not going to get too much into chemistry and biology because I'm not a nutritionist, right? But I do know the basics of working out and how your body is affected by it. There's something called lactic acid that builds up in your body from overuse of muscles. And when you stretch, it helps to reduce and minimize that lactic acid. But when you don't, the lactic acid builds up. And like I said, you're really sore, almost to the point that you're in pain, and it causes stiff muscles. Stiff muscles prevents you from having good workouts. Next one. And the last thing we'll talk about is nutrition. Like I said, you know, the biggest thing I want to say is do not diet, but let me elaborate a little bit on that, right? Because overall, your diet is what's important when it comes to your physical fitness and your overall health. Right? So dieting is a temporary solution to a lifetime issue. This issue being your overall health. So not necessarily an issue, but it's something you're going to deal with for the rest of your life. It plays into your quality of life. When I say dieting, I'm talking about like these short term, let's say like a juice diet, right? You're trying to do a juice diet because you want to permanently lose weight. Well, you're probably going to drop that weight for a couple weeks, but the moment you get off your diet, you're going to gain all that weight back, because you were depriving your body of the proper nutrients and macronutrients and micronutrients that it needs, which I'll talk about a little bit later. When we talk about nutrition, we want to talk about lifestyle change. We want to focus on how you're eating every day and where your mind is at on how to eat. The biggest thing when we talk about nutrition is just having a well-balanced diet, right? Don't deprive yourself of a specific thing if you're trying to gain or lose muscle. Have a well-balanced diet with the proper nutrients, which we'll talk about now. Macronutrients and micronutrients. Macronutrients, the three different types of or when we talk about macronutrients, we talk about protein, carbs, and fats. Protein is used for growth, muscle growth, and repair. Examples of protein are chicken, fish, bacon, and eggs. Carbs is a fuel during high intensity exercises. Don't get me wrong, your body is constantly using carbs throughout the day. But if you're doing high intensity exercises, carbs is that one fundamental thing your body's going to rely on. Rice, fruit, and bread are different types of carbs. And then fat, right? Believe it or not, you actually want to consume fat. Fat is good for your body. Fat helps reserve energy. It protects against vital organs, and it helps to transport vitamins and minerals. There are a lot of bad fats out there, but there are also some good fats out there, such as avocados and nuts. So that's macronutrients: protein, carbs, and fats. Another big part of nutrients is micronutrients. So micronutrients are vitamins and minerals. There's a lot of science and chemistry that goes into talking about vitamins and minerals. I'm only going to touch on the surface. Please do research on your own to get more information on this. But vitamins are used to stay healthy and support your bodily functions. There are water-soluble vitamins such as folic acid, and then there's fat-soluble, which is vitamin A. You can find vitamins in certain foods, but for the most part, vitamins have to be taken as a supplement. So like a separate pill that you take every day. Then there's minerals. Minerals are used to build strong bones and regulate your metabolism. There's macrominerals, which is calcium, that you can kind of find in very like specific foods such as like bananas. And then there's microminerals like zinc, which are they're found in more smaller portions. You don't need as much zinc as you need calcium, if that makes sense. Minerals and vitamins are both important, are vital for growth, immunity, and brain development. Next slide. So that basically covers it, right? I just summarized each video and what I talked about, and hopefully I cleared up some confusion that there was in any of the material of the videos. But I just want to leave you guys off with a couple things to remember, right? Your journey is your own. And what I mean by that is it's fine to be motivated, inspired by other people and how they look and where they're at in their fitness. But at the end of the day, you live with yourself. You live with your body. You live with your own health. So whatever you want to do for yourself, make it your own. Like I'm pursuing weightlifting and bodybuilding right now. That may not be, that's my passion. That may not be your passion. So don't make it your passion. If you're like, I want to get better at running, that's your journey right there, is getting better at running. Be inspired, not envious. Like I said, it's okay to be inspired by people. Like if the video that I said, or the videos that I posted and my background inspires you to get into sports or to get into weightlifting, that's awesome. But don't be jealous of me. Don't be envious of me, because everyone starts somewhere. I've been doing this for weightlifting at least for 3 years, but I've been having an active lifestyle since I was 6 years old, right? Some people don't start there. So start where you're at. Everyone has a beginning point. Consistency and dedication. Whatever goals you have for yourself, it's very important to be consistent, right? Because that's how you're going to eventually achieve that goal. But the only way you're going to be consistent is by being dedicated. Sometimes you're not always consistent. Like for me, the last 6 months of my life, I have not been consistent in my physical fitness. I valued it, but it just hasn't been consistent. But I have been dedicated to how important it is and my overall health. So just always remember that. If you notice you're not being as consistent as you want to be, focus on how dedicated you are to your goals. And then the last thing I want to leave you off is do your own research. I am not a certified trainer. I am not a certified nutritionist. I have just been doing this for a majority of my life at this point, and I have done my own research. So please don't just take everything I'm saying and then go out there and hit it 100, right? Do your own research in anything that you want to pursue. And that's the last thing I'll leave you off with. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Cece. That was inspiring. You're so generous, like sharing all those tips and all the good things we need to know. So you talked about starting. So you just said earlier that you started like since you were 6.
Yeah.
Yes. Lucky you.
Just doing something, karate, gymnastics. And I've always been active.
Yeah, but that's a great thing. But for a regular people, like a regular person like myself, for instance, we tend to, find excuses on when to start, how to start. We don't even know how to start. Although we want to either lose weight or just like be in a good shape, something like that. So I will take the question from Cry Potatoes. Hi, how should I get started? What type of training is best for beginners?
How should you get started and what type of training is best for beginners? So it just depends on what your goal is. If you want to lose weight, then you need to have a workout regimen specifically towards like fat burning, and you're going to focus a lot more on cardio. If you only want to lose weight, if you want to lose weight and gain muscle, then that's a whole different workout regimen. Again, I'm sorry, I'm not a certified trainer. I can just tell you, you're going to have it. It all starts with what do you want? If you notice that, your doctor says you have high blood pressure, like that's going to be a lot of focus more on your cardio. What type of training is best for beginners? It depends on where you want to start. So if you say, like, if you put on like, hey, I want to start with fat burning, like what should I do for that? I'm going to tell you to focus a lot more on cardio workouts. I'm also going to tell you to lift weights as well, because people are surprised lifting weights actually helps burn fat. Some would say even faster than just purely doing cardio, and you build muscle. I would just say though, for beginners though, like kind of where to start for beginners. One, figure out what your goal is, do your research, and be very careful, right? If you have a physician you can talk to or a doctor you can talk to, make sure to do that. But make sure you're really just taking it easy. Don't look at people who have been doing advanced workouts for years and try to do what they do at that intensity. Just take it easy. It's a gradual day-to-day effort. Hope that answers your question.
Yes. So talking about fat burning, we have a question here from Ernst Shop. Hello. How to lose belly fat?
Is it okay if I ask, is that a female or a male? No. So belly fat is an interesting thing because belly fat is very stubborn. Even in my family, the fat that like, if we tend to gain more fat, we'll actually gain it in our belly. So belly fat is something that I've struggled with, or I feel like I struggle with. Some would say I don't. So diet, your nutrition, like don't diet, but how your diet is a big part of belly fat. People out there, they want abs, so they'll do 100 crunches every night for a year straight, and then they don't have abs. You know why? Because their diet sucks. Whenever it comes to when we talk about your diet, like whenever we talk about like your this right here, this belly, and we talk about wanting abs or everything, I'm telling you, 30 to 40% of it is your diet. How much fat and carbs are you intaking? Of course, you have to work out, right? You have to work out. You have to do your ab workouts. But focus on what you're eating. If you notice you're eating a lot of bread, and you'll be surprised, eating too much rice is not good for you. Like rice is good for you, but eating too many carbs, you're not going to burn the fat that you want. If you're consuming too much fat, you're not going to lose what you need to around that area. So of course you need to work out. That's a big portion of it. But the other 50% is what your diet looks like and how much you're consuming. So that's the best way. You gotta watch your diet.
Yeah. Thank you. Next question from Budu. Budu Rakuten, right? Please. Budu, when do you need to drink water during the workout or the gym sessions, like aerobics, for instance? I'm doing
aerobics. Okay. When do you need to drink water? So, you know what's funny about that is drink lots of water and drink it throughout the day. You know, funny story, for our military training, our physical fitness test, we do 3 miles, right? Some people would drink a gallon of water the night before they have to run the 3 miles. At that point, you're too late. You need to be consuming lots of water 3 days prior to that intense run that you're going to execute, or at least this is what I tell my Marines, right? So, you know, if you're doing aerobics and you're doing it every day, you need to be drinking lots of water every day, because what's going to happen is that your body's going to retain that water depending on your salt intake. It's a whole nother topic though. Your body's going to retain that water, and then when you actually are conducting an exercise, it's going to pull from your muscles. It's going to pull that water. Well, if you weren't drinking water prior to, your body's not retaining anything, so it's not able to pull what it needs to when you're actually doing a workout, if that makes sense. So drink lots of water every day. How much water you drink, that depends on your weight. It depends on your weight and your gender. For me, I weigh, I don't know this in kilos, I'm so sorry, but I weigh about 150 pounds, right? So some would say you need to drink an ounce per pound. So for me, I should be consuming about 150 ounces a day, which for us, I think is like a gallon. I should be consuming a gallon and a half. It's a lot of water. If you work here at the embassy, I don't know who's watching that works here at the embassy, I'm always carrying my like water containers because I have to consume water all the time. So I hope that answers your question about how much water to drink and when to drink it.
Great. Let's take another question. Mm-hmm. And another question comes from Malala. So what time of the day would you recommend we schedule our workout routine? Mm-hmm. Morning, lunchtime, evening? If she were to create a routine but keep changing her workout schedule, would it be sustainable?
That's a really good question, actually. So it's whatever you can do. That's one of those things I would say you have to do research. Some have said it's better to work out in the morning. And then other research has said it's better to work out in the evening. For me, I work at different times of the day. So sometimes I'll work out around lunchtime, and then there's times I'll work out around the evening time because I can't work around that. It is important though, whatever routine you pick, that whenever you do work out, you're doing it on that, you're keeping to that time consistently. I would say do your research. I have not really noticed too much of a difference. The only difference I've noticed from working out in the morning to working out at night is in the morning, your stomach is empty, like you don't have anything on your stomach. So some would say they have low energy in the morning whenever they're working out. But then if you work out in the evening, you've eaten throughout the day, but you could be mentally tired and your body can be fatigued depending on what you do. So that's where it's like, it's really to the individual person. I found it better that I work out best before I go to work, where I have enough time to eat, get something in my system, and then work out a couple hours later and then be up for the rest of the day. Try to, whatever time you do choose, make sure you just stick to that time. If you don't, it's fine. It's fine. Just try not to switch it up too much. Definitely, it is sustainable though, if you keep it within the same time frame.
Great. So as a marine security guard, could be like, it's just part of your job to like to stay fit and to do the workout.
We like to say we get paid to stay fit, so it's pretty nice. Yeah.
Yes, but for regular people, and now we have a question from Randu. Yes, Iriansu. How do you stay motivated? Are you willing to work every time?
Oh my God. See, we're putting my business out there. How do I stay motivated? You know, I'd like to say that motivation is important, and it's important to have in your life, but motivation comes in bits and spurts, right? Throughout the day, I'll have 2 times where I'm motivated for an hour, and then the rest of the day I'm tired and I want to be in my bed, right? I like to stay dedicated. That's the key, right? I'll always say, hey, you're motivated, but at the end of the day, it's important to be dedicated. To be dedicated is figuring out, what do you value, right? I value my health. I value my fitness. I value my strength, and I value contributing to my team. And that right there, that mindset is what gets me up in the morning to go work out and lift, even when I don't want to. It's the fact that I'm like, well, I have to carry a 200-pound body or a 100-kilo body, one of these days. And I have to be able to carry one of my Marines in an emergency response. And I can't be like, oh, I'm not strong enough. No, I have to be strong enough. There's no can't in what I do. So I would say that's that motivation that I get, but that's what keeps me dedicated. Are you willing to work every time? No, absolutely not. I'm going to be completely honest with you guys. I think one of the people that I don't love lifting. I love fitness, but I don't love lifting. I like it. It's fine. I tolerate it. It's something I do. I add it to my to-do list, and it's just a check in the box, to be honest. And it's not always I'm not always motivated. So what I just say is try to find some fun in what you do. It's okay that if, let's say I've been lifting for 6 months straight and I'm tired of lifting, I'm bored with it. I'll just change up my workout regimen and focus on HIIT. And I'll do that for 6 months, and then I get bored of that. Then I'll focus on running and swimming. Get bored of that, then I'll focus on that. It's about having just being your whole fitness. That's what I'm saying. It's all about your overall fitness and your overall health. But I hope that kind of gives you where I'm at, staying motivated and staying dedicated to what I do, is the fact that it's not about me. It's about, how I contribute to my team. And it is about, I want to have a quality of life. I want to be able to hike. I want to be able to explore. And doing that, you do have to have some level of fitness. And no, I'm not always dedicated and consistent at all. You can ask my friends at all. But, I try to get it in. Sometimes if I notice I'm not being consistent, I try to make a goal that I work out 3 times a week, because that's a pretty good goal. Mm-hmm. Then if I notice I'm hitting that, then I get motivated to do more throughout the week.
Yeah, great. And we have a follow-up question from Iriansu again.
Okay.
So can you describe a time when you were proud of how hard you work on a project? When have you worked the hardest? What motivated you to do so?
When I worked on a project. So I'm going to assume when you say project, maybe you mean physical fitness, probably, right? Not in general.
Yeah.
Can you describe a time when you were kind of how hard you worked on a project, when you have worked the hardest, and what motivated you. So I would say, there's been many times in college that I worked really hard and I saw a benefit from that, but that's focusing on sports. So let me focus on when I was on my weightlifting, how I've been on my weightlifting journey. So the reason I refused to start weightlifting for the longest time. So I joined at 19. I didn't start weightlifting till I was about 22. And the reason why is I just felt like it was hyped up. Like people just wanted to like lift weights. And I was like, well, I'm as strong as you without lifting weights. I was a little bit prideful, I would say. Then I got into it because I kind of had to. I was bored with all my other fitness regimens. And so I got into that. But the first thing I did, I started powerlifting. And powerlifting I think it's fun, but it's very grueling and it's very difficult sometimes. But I was on an 8-week powerlifting regimen, and for about 6 months, I was on it for a period of 6 months, but I kept taking a break. Like I would get 6 weeks in, take a 2-week break. Then I would get another 4 weeks in, take a break. And I would have to keep starting over because I kept taking a break. Well, it finally got to a point where I was like, I'm going to buckle down and become serious on this powerlifting program. And I did it for the 8 weeks straight. And I saw huge PRs or personal records in my lift. So I'll go ahead and just briefly say, when I started on the powerlifting, I'm going to say in pounds, I'm so sorry. But when I started on the powerlifting program, I was only squatting 245 pounds. By the end of it, I squatted 275. And I would say that was a huge goal for me. Benching, I love to bench press. I started only benching 135 pounds. By the end of that powerlifting program, I was benching 155. So I was very proud of myself because I finally stuck to it and I worked hard every single workout. Don't get me wrong, there was workouts I was like, I don't feel like doing this today. But I was like, gotta do it. Put my mind where it needs to go, and I finished it. So
yes. Okay. So Cry Potatoes is back with another question.
Okay.
About weightlifting. Body weight training as effective as weightlifting for building muscles. Which one is easier for beginners? So just maybe I will also encourage you, Cry Potatoes, to watch back the series of videos. We have a specific episode on weightlifting. So feel free to watch it again. But
absolutely. So watch the weightlifting video. For beginners, I'm going to define beginners as someone who's never been active in their life, or at least active to the degree that we're talking about being active. I would say as a beginner, do calisthenics. That's for building strength, not building muscle. Because when we say building muscle, I talk about like the size of muscle, not necessarily your strength. If you're trying to build strength and you're a beginner, I would do calisthenics. Calisthenics is amazing for building strength. People don't talk about it enough. Even I did calisthenics for about 8 weeks before I started back on my weightlifting regimen. And I would say I was able to maintain my strength and work on my strength endurance, which is very important and very practical. Practical being like you use your body every single day. You're not always lifting dumbbells every day. Weightlifting isn't always practical, but calisthenics is very practical. So I would recommend you actually do calisthenics. Do your research, please, but do calisthenics. But if you're trying to get bigger muscles, weightlifting is best for that. But when it comes to bigger muscles, your diet has a lot to do with that. So calisthenics, you can get stronger and you can look stronger, but the looking stronger will depend on your protein and carb intake.
Great. So another question, which is like back again. Tia and G. How to get rid of stubborn belly.
Oh, the stubborn belly fat. So I'll say this, right? Because even though whole fitness, it's, gender is not defined in it. There are some things that men are going to struggle with their fitness, and there's some things that women are going to struggle with their fitness. I'm going to throw this out there, but please just, again, do your research. Sometimes for women, this belly fat is our hormones. Like for me, my belly fat will actually fluctuate throughout the month because of our menstrual cycle. So when we talk about belly fat, please consider that. Like me, I think I'm getting fatter, but in reality, like my water weight is increasing because of my hormones. So especially if you've had a kid, that plays really big into your belly fat. Sometimes it's not even your fat, it's actually the muscles that's under your fat from having the kid. If you haven't had a kid, it can really just deal with like your hormones, like I said. But getting rid of stubborn belly fat, your diet. Diet is going to be the number one thing. So how much fat and carbs are you intaking and how much protein are you eating? And then on top of your specific workout regimen, I'll tell you this, don't just do abs every single day and only abs. When you're doing upper body and lower body workouts, your core is actually engaged, believe it or not. It should be engaged. So kind of keep that in mind. Focus on like your overall body. And of course you can focus on your abs as well. But like I said before, diet is a huge reason of belly fat, and then your hormones. So, I'm not a doctor. I'm not going to tell you that's why you have belly fat. But if you notice you're working out very consistently and your diet is really good and your belly fat is not going away, I would talk to a doctor because it might be something more than what you think. When I say consistent though, it's not going to happen over a month, guys. It's not even going to happen over 2 months. Sometimes this is a 3-4 month, 6-month thing, 1 year to 2 year journey, to be honest. Let me be honest with you. So
that's good to know.
I'm like, you're like, all right, I'm going to be, consistent for a month. Yes. You're like, I didn't see a difference.
Yeah.
I don't even see a difference in this one. This, like the way my physique, how it is now, has been something that's been over a year that I have built. It just all of a sudden, it wasn't all of a sudden. I worked every day or tried to, or every week I was consistent, or as consistent I can be. And then all of a sudden, like my physique slowly built. It's something that takes sometimes years. You see these bodybuilders, like those who know Ronnie Coleman, he did not get that in 2 months. He got that in years of work. So that, don't be discouraged by that. That's why I'm saying this is a lifestyle decision. It's not a temporary thing that we decide when we talk about fitness.
Great. So yes, you talked about you also talked about nutrition.
Yeah.
There is a specific episode on nutrition. You can watch back if you want to. And you did a short presentation on the best way, tips or the kind of food
to eat.
To eat, depending on the objective you want to, depend on your target. So now we have a question from Laza. Do you need to not eating fast food while deciding to work out? And how about the food that helps the body to be strong?
Okay. Avoid fast food. So, from an American point of view, our fast food is terrible, for us. So I definitely would say avoid fast food, but I don't know how Malagasy fast food is. If it's actually chicken and rice, that's actually really good, but you guys consider it fast food. But food that's very high in oils and fats and bad carbs, try to stay away from, of course, because one, it's just bad for you. It's bad for your heart, and it's definitely bad for building muscles and building strength and energy. How about the food that helps your body be strong? Again, when we talk about strong, if we're talking about just being strong, then that's just that's having a balanced diet, right? Having citrus fruits, eating fruits and vegetables. Those are your good carbs, right? When I talk about carbs, eating rice, not too much. Potatoes are good, but they're starchy, which starch is sugar. Sugar turns into fat, so be careful with that. Eating lots of lean meat. So I like to say pork is really, it's meat and it's protein, but it's not the best for you. It has a lot of fat in it. Chicken, turkey, fish, eggs, not too many eggs though, because eggs are high in cholesterol. Eating a lot of that. And you'll actually be surprised on how much food you should eat to be strong. Now, looking strong, a lot has to do with your calorie intake. And again, focusing on exactly how many grams of protein, carbs, and fats you're consuming on a daily basis. I like to say, for me, usually when I work out and I'm consistent with my protein intake, I do get bigger. Genetics have a little bit to play in that. I'll be honest, genetics do have a little bit to play in that. My mom and my dad are naturally buff, big people. Some people are smaller, and that's just your genetics that kind of plays into that. But having a well-balanced diet, this is where doing research really comes in at, but you do actually have to physically track how much protein, carbs, and fat you're intaking and how much calorie you're intaking throughout the day. This is to build muscles and to look stronger, right? but yeah, overall being strong, just having a well-balanced diet and being consistent in your fitness routine.
Great. So let's take, let's say the last question because we are running out of time. From Bruno. Hi, Bruno. So do you have any advice to senior people, 60 plus year, would want to work out without any risk of injury?
Yeah, that's honestly a great question. So I'm a big advocate for running. I love running. That is my personal preference, but running is very hard on the joints. Lifting weights is very hard on the joints. So for you, to just be healthy and to focus on your fitness without risk of injury, you want to do low impact workouts. So, you know, if you love running, you might have to just do brisk walking with like a little bit of weight, because that's not as hard as on your knees and your hips, right? Swimming is very good for senior people. Doing a lot of swimming. Bicycling is pretty good as well. It can kind of affect your knee joints, but not too much. Again, it's super low impact. So I would say that just do low impact workouts, still definitely every day, and monitor your heart rate, because for me, you know, I like to get my heart rate up to about like 170, 160. But for you guys to be considered healthy and have like a healthy cardiovascular and respiratory system, you only need to really get your heart rate to a lower point because you're older. So that's the advice I would have for you for risk of injury.
Okay, great. So we have another question.
Yeah, no problem.
But let's take it. Laza asked a question here. Yes. So last question, please. Though, is it possible that a person with skinny body will be bigger while working out?
Absolutely. Yes, absolutely. So if I've noticed for this, again, there's a lot of things that factor into this. So like hormones, your age. There's a lot of guys I went to high school with who were very skinny. As they got older, men tend to get bigger as they get older, and women do too, but we usually gain more fat than we do muscle. But absolutely, big thing that's going to play into for you, I would say lifting weights is probably your best way to go, because lifting weights does help you get stronger, but it also makes you look stronger because you're literally making your muscles bigger over a period of time. Diet, like I'm telling you guys, like diet and food is so big when we talk about fitness and how you look and how you feel. So if you want to go from being skinny to getting bigger, it's going to take a lot of time, and it's going to take a lot of dedication. It's going to take a lot of food, like a lot of food. I want you to do your own research. I can spit some facts to you. For sake of time, I won't, but it's going to take a lot of food, a lot of protein, a lot of carbs, good protein, a lot of dedication in the gym. You can do it. You can definitely do it, but it's going to require a lot of eating and a lot of lifting weights.
Great. Thank you so much, Cece, for answering all of those questions. And thank you for asking questions. And we hope that you get more information. If you still have questions that haven't been covered here, feel free to comment. We will leave this video here, and you can continue to comment, and we'll figure out how to answer them. Thank you so much. And yeah, we have the series of video, Whole Fitness with Cece. We have a playlist here on this Facebook page. We can watch back, and then there are 8 videos covering like 8 topics. So just enjoy and and we hope that you could start exercising soon. So once again, thank you very much, Cece, for all those inspiring things. Thank you so much.
Thank you for allowing me to come on here and talk about my own fitness journey and encouraging other people to start their fitness journey, or at least value their fitness journey if they're already on one. And please keep the questions coming. Again, I'm not a certified nutritionist or certified trainer. I've just been around for just a little bit of time. So I know a little bit of information on this, but I appreciate everything, and good luck in everyone with their fitness journey.
Great. Thank you. So thank you all for joining us today. So we hope to be back for another program, live program. We are now resuming our live program here on this US Embassy Facebook page. So talk to you soon. Bye.